Joined now by the man who led the restoration here at East Lake. Andrew Green also did Oak Hill, site of the 2023 PGA Championship, something of a Donald Ross specialist. Andrew, thank you for dropping by. Let's start with the inspiration. How far back did you go for a clue as to what you wanted to do?
Right. Well, obviously this place is grounded in such rich history. You did a beautiful job of talking about Bobby Jones. We have Alexa Sterling, Charlie Yates. So many players came from this place. Stuart Maiden, obviously a huge part of it, but also the golf course, the property, and the integrity of that. So our real intent was to connect back to that, make sure that we told the story any way that we could. Bobby Jones, best player to ever play, in part was because of the shots that were played here. So how did we, look back and unlock the landscape, try to get more variety out of the golf course, test the players to a more complete stance, and a lot of that revolved around the history.
And that history, you found quite a bit of it staring right at you from an old photograph. What year was that?
So the main photo, this photo is from 1949, which typically is kind of late for something that we're doing from a golden age perspective. We'd rather have something in 20s or 30s. But it was so clear. Look at the resolution is spectacular. You see little scars and hints of landforms and things just from an aerial perspective. It really gave us a tremendous backbone to build from.
What is that discovery process like? I picture you like Raiders of the Lost Ark looking for the Ark of the Covenant. How do you find these photos?
It's probably more like an internet stalker, as far as, going back and trying to find these archives of all this history. There's multiple places I look kind of immediately for things when I'm going to a property. I like to understand, how does a property evolve? What's the story of how it got to where it is, so that we can really unlock the pieces of kind of going back a little bit, but making sure that we aren't doing something that wasn't changed for a reason. But yeah, mostly internet, digital archives, whether it be governmental or other academic things.
And when you find a picture like that, obviously you take it to the membership. I'm just wondering what the brief is like. In other words, how are you balancing the demands of the members, the suggestion of the members, maybe the suggestions of the PGA Tour players, and also how to test the members and appropriately test the best players in the world? How do you walk that line?
Yeah, that's interesting. I think for the most part, the target is the target. 100 years ago, the target, and today, it works pretty well. So putting greens, greenside bunkers, the way they sit on the ground, that seems to make a lot of sense and translate really well from yesterday to today. It's fairway bunkers, fairway widths, the dynamics of the whole tee position. Those are the things that we can really adjust, and it allows the golf course to be very playable by going forward and tougher going back. And a lot of what we tried to do was make the test accessible for the members, open some fronts of greens, approaches. There are a number of forced carries into holes before. We opened those up, allowed the ball to get along the ground with some short grass, and then challenge the best players in the world by putting the hazards at the appropriate distance for the modern game, make them think. They've been thinking this week. And and just, test your complete game. I think as a recreational golfer, the golf that I enjoy the most is the golf that I remember and the golf that kind of shows me everything that I can do with my golf ball.
The internal out of bounds, did you see this coming, and what do you think of what they've done?
Yeah, I'm not sure that there's an advantage to either place, but I understand. And I also understand the dynamics of people that will be either frustrated or disappointed in that decision. But it was the right decision. We actually did it at Oak Hill, 6 into 7. That was a place of a similar kind of ruling. Lon Hinkle, right?
I needed a couple of Lon Hinkle trees.
Yeah, so it's been an issue. The USAM at Oakmont, right? We saw a number of these things. But here for the Tour Championship, on these 2 holes, we felt, and the PGA Tour made the adjustment, that it was the right thing to do for this year. Does it mean we won't make some adjustments going into next year? Maybe. 6 into 7 had always been something I was, at least thought about. But I stood there kind of where, the shots were shown, and I'm not sure it's a huge advantage.
If you and I were out having a couple of drinks, I would ask you this question. So you're up here on the set. I'm of the opinion that it seems like the whole architecture world is of the same mind on tree removal. Now, I don't know whether it's good or bad. I just know that when some organization is all of the same mind, there needs to be some correction on the other side, I think. So when I look at tree removal, broadly speaking, of course I can see the advantages to it from an agronomic aspect. Of course I can understand it provides an aesthetic. Of course I can understand a playability from a member standpoint, and maybe even some strategic aspects of it. But generally speaking, at the highest level, do trees not offer an aesthetic of their own, and do they not provide a strategic option? You think about the shot that Sergio Garcia hit in 1999 at Medina. If the trees were removed, we wouldn't watch the shot. Bubba Watson, right at Augusta National, number 10. If the trees were gone, it would have been a nothing shot. So it seems like the whole of architecture is let's get rid of the trees. So we end up with situations where we have to have interior out of bounds because there's no trees to protect against the best players of the world on dog legs. Now, that's what I would say if we were sitting down having a nice conversation. I said it here. I'm just interested to hear what your comment is.
Sure, I cover this ground often.
Okay.
Right? So certainly having the trees out of the way for agronomics, number one, for sure. Then there's actually some aesthetics one way or the other. Here at Eastlake, being able to see across the property has a lot of power. But the two adjustments where this internal out of bounds thing has come from is actually a byproduct of other things. The first on number 7, certainly we wanted to see the lake in the clubhouse as you walk down that hole, but there's a majestic white oak, I can see it from here, that we wanted to go showcase. So the trees below that were actually in very poor condition. They were overgrown, a lot of first growth stuff. And because we made a modification for the practice facility with the lake, we had to add additional floodplain storage. So we actually did a stream restoration and added storage volume in that space. Over on between 10 and 18, there were some trees that were in poor health, and the cart path shifted along with the grading that we had to make the adjustments to the lake on that side. The trees had to come down for that work. So unfortunately, both of these things weren't a conscious decision to open lines of play. It was the result of the dynamics of the park.
Fairness to you, Oak Hill, the trees are still there, plenty of them, and there's plenty here.
There's a lot of trees
there. There are.
And, go ahead, Brandon.
I was just going to ask less controversial question. We're going to see the big chasm on 16, and we're going to see the trench on 17 as this week plays out. But I'm just wondering, as you've reworked and restored this whole golf course, were there a couple of holes or elements to holes that turned out that even surprised you, that you were particularly proud of?
Yeah, the second green is certainly a topic of conversation. It's massive. It's got a lot of character, a lot of roll to it. But it really is one of those pinnacle moments from that old image that I wanted to capture. It's supremely unique in its shape, and the way, front hole location to back is so different. I really love that. And then, I think some of the adjustments we made down the close, 14 is a 5, that was kind of a later decision. But I think it kind of offsets some of the other dynamics that we've set up. And if you look at the shots we're asking the players to play, coming down the stretch, allowing them to potentially make an eagle there, and then have to play that 15th green, which is actually bigger, even though it looks smaller. I promise it's bigger. And then 16 with the short grass to the right, and 17 and 18 with a lot of character that we've added. I just think the finish is going to be tremendously exciting.
In your estimation, it is now more challenging than it used to be in what ways?
I think some of it's actually perceived that it's more challenging, but obviously the greens are firm. They're young, but they're tremendous. Charlie and his staff, the superintendent and his team here, have just done an amazing job getting this golf course ready. We planted the last piece of sod on June 15th. Yeah.
Herculean effort.
Yes.
Yeah, it really was.
But I think, there's the putts that the players are going to play, they have no experience with. They're all new. So they're going to have to read those greens. That'll be different. The hole locations will all be different, obviously. And then the dynamics of the landforms. They're going to be places where the players get uncomfortable by the way they're standing over the ball, and the ball's below their feet, uphill, downhill, side hill, those kinds of things. That's different.